Donald Trump has come out swinging against China in the continuing trade war between the two superpowers. This time saying China will have to come to the negotiation table if they want to do business in America again.
We'll see what happens, but ultimately they have to make a deal because otherwise they're not going to be able to deal in the United States. So we want them involved, but they have to, and other countries have to make a deal. And if they don't make a deal, we'll set the deal. Because we're the ones that set the deal. Scott and Howard and myself and others, we're going to be setting the deal, and it'll be a fair deal for everybody, and it'll be, I think it's a process that's going to go pretty quickly. We've spoken to many, many countries, and we're getting their views on things. You know, there are a lot of things. They have VAT taxes. They have everything you can have. Don't forget, as an example, the European Union was set up to take advantage of the United States. That's why it was set. And they've done that, but they're not doing that anymore.
Online commentators had mixed opinions on Trump's hardline stance, with this person saying, "This is what happens when an authoritarian regime creates an export-only economy, fueled by the policies of feckless prior US presidents. China thought this model would last. Oops, new sheriff in town, and your economic house of cards could crumble if you don't come to the table. CCP only survives if the Chinese economy grows and maintains the standard of living. So in the end, they will negotiate on US terms." But this commentator wasn't so supportive of the president, saying, "If they don't make a deal, we'll set the deal." Sounds like something a toddler says while negotiating bedtime with a juice box. Truly remarkable how every sentence feels like it was ghostwritten by a malfunctioning Magic 8-ball. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt doubled down on her boss's sentiments, saying a deal with China is imminent, whilst negotiations are taking place with several other nations.
Spoke to our entire trade team this morning. There is a lot of progress being made. We now have 18 proposals on paper that have been brought to the trade team. Again, these are proposals on paper that countries have proposed to the Trump administration and to our government. You have Secretary Bessent, Secretary Lutnick, Ambassador Greer, NEC Director Hassett, and Peter Navarro, the entire trade team, meeting with 34 countries this week alone. We are moving at Trump speed to ensure these deals are made on behalf of the American worker and the American people. And just yesterday, it seemed to get a little bit lost in the news, and I think it's a disservice to the American public that it did. The Vice President announced terms of reference for a trade deal with India. That is a big deal. We know when we look at the numbers, the monetary trade barriers and the non-monetary trade barriers from India, they have been ripping off the United States and American workers for a very long time. So the fact that the Vice President with Prime Minister Modi on that trip in India announced these terms of reference, which is essentially a framework to move the ball forward to sign a good trade deal between our two nations, is great progress, and it speaks to the work ethic and the real labor that's being put into this effort by the president's trade team.
And whilst Trump is confident a deal will be made with China, Senator John Kennedy has gone further, saying China has no choice but to make a deal or else their economy will crumble further.
China doesn't want a trade war. China's in horrible shape. The property market has crashed. They've got deflation. Their people are unemployed. Unemployment among young people is over 20%. They lie about their growth figures. China's in a horrible shape economically. They can't afford a trade war.
But it seems as though China isn't budging just yet. The superpower is taking Trump's tariffs personally, even convening a UN meeting tomorrow to condemn the United States for bullying them.
China holding an informal United Nations Security Council meeting tomorrow, accusing the United States of bullying by weaponizing tariffs. Chinese diplomats sending a note to all 193 UN members saying, quote, "By weaponizing tariffs as a tool of extreme pressure, the U.S. has gravely violated international trade rules and triggered severe shocks and turbulence in the world economy and multilateral trading system, casting a shadow over the global efforts for peace and development."
Online commentators blasted China for their hypocrisy, with this person saying, "Guess they never heard, do not do to others what you would not want done to yourself." And while some in the US are reeling over the 245% tariffs, businessman Kevin O'Leary is advocating for an even higher tariffs to end the disrespect from China to the US.
104% tariffs on China are not enough. I'm advocating 400%. I do business in China. They don't play by the rules. They've been in the WTO for decades. They have never abided by any of the rules they agreed to when they came in for decades. They cheat, they steal IP. I can't litigate in their courts. They take product, technology, they steal it, they manufacture it and sell it back here. Never has an administration.
400% tariffs? What would that look like?
Xi on an airplane to Washington to level the playing field. This is not about tariffs anymore. Nobody has taken on China yet, not the Europeans, no administration for decades. As someone who actually does business there, I've had enough. I speak for millions of Americans who have IP that have been stolen by the Chinese. I have nothing against the Chinese people. They brought great literacy, art, and tech to the world. The government cheats and steals, and finally, an administration, you may not like Trump, you may not like his style or his rhetoric, finally, an administration that puts up and says enough.
And whilst China is dragging their feet, the US is busy making deals across the globe. Like yesterday when JD Vance had a productive conversation with Modi of India, who are maintaining their close alliance with the US and distancing themselves from China.
As many of you are aware, both of our governments are hard at work on a trade agreement built on shared priorities, like creating new jobs, building durable supply chains, and achieving prosperity for our workers. In our meeting yesterday, Prime Minister Modi and I made very good progress on all of those points. And we are especially excited to formally announce that America and India have officially finalized the terms of reference for the trade negotiation. I think this is a vital step. Thank you. And I believe this is a vital step toward realizing President Trump's and Prime Minister Modi's vision, because it sets a roadmap toward a final deal between our nations.